All right, so right now we're going to be doing the maximum average subarray question. This is question 643 in LeetCode. We're basically given an array called nums, which stores multiple values within, and then we're given a value called k. And what we need to do is using k, kind of add up, 1 through k throughout the entirety of the list and return the max sum. So what I mean by that is, let's say we're starting in the beginning, right? We need to basically add up the first four numbers back to back. So 1, 12, -5, and -6, right? Then you're going to do that again. So 12, -5, -6, and 50. And then again, right? And then you want to spit out the max sum of out of those three iterations we just went through. So the way we're going to do that is using the sliding window technique. And the first thing we're going to do is, which I like to do, is kind of print out, or at least comment, your input and output so you can like visually see what we're working with. And um, within this technique, one of the first steps you have to do is kind of get the first instance, right? So what I mean by that is, if we are adding up the first four numbers, we're going to do that manually. So we're going to do total underscore sum, just a random variable, and we're going to set this equal to the sum of nums, and we're going to use slicing from 0 to k, right? So what this is doing, total sum, is basically equal to these four values added up together, right? Then we need to make a variable to hold the max total, right? Um, so we're going to make max total, or max sum is better, max sum. And as in the moment, we only have one iteration. So max sum should just be equal to total sum as of the moment, right? This will obviously change depending on the conditions. Um, then we need to run a for loop, right? For loop to kind of iterate through the array we have here. So for x in range, right? Length of nums. Now, what we're about to do is super important here, because think about it, right? If we need to make sure that we check four continuously, so four numbers in a row, so we need to always have space. There's no way we could iterate through each number, because let's say if we iterated through 1, then 12, then 5, and then -6, we need four numbers, right? There's not a fourth number after there's only three. So we need to be careful with how many times you can iterate. And the way to prevent this is they kind of give it to you, right? We need four numbers continuously. So we just need to do minus k, right? Minus k, if our range is 6, right? And we subtract it by k, which is 4, then that's 2, right? So let's see, you start at 1, 2, 3. So this is one loop, right? And then we could start counting from here. This is another loop, and then this is another loop, right? So we would be able to check all the numbers, right? And all we need is those two times. So now as we have this for loop, what we're going to do is, all right, what we're going to do is get our total sum, total underscore sum, and we need to first kind of subtract the nums at index x, right? And then what we're going to need to do is total underscore sum plus or equals nums and x plus k. So what's going on here? Well, what's going on here is we already added these first four, right? In this line right here. So all we need to do moving forward is kind of getting the sum that we haven't reached to. So the next one would be starting from 12 and ending at 50, right? So this is what we're doing here. We're subtracting the minus equal k, right? Because we don't need that number anymore. This 1 we don't need because we already found it in this line. So we're removing the 1 here and adding x plus k. Well, x is 0 and k is 4. So that would be, let's see, that would be 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. That'd be 50, right? So now what we do is, because we have this number and this number and this number already added, we're adding the 50. And this is what this line is doing here. These two lines basically subtract the first one and add the next number to the already sum we had previously. And all we need to do is run an if statement. If max underscore sum is less than total underscore sum, then we're going to send max underscore sum equal. So now max underscore sum is the highest number, and we know this because we just set equal to it, and we will return this once this loop is done, right? So we just need to return max underscore sum. And in this question in particular, we are finding the average, right? So if we were just returning the total, this would be it, but we're actually finding the average. So we find the max sum and then get the average of everything. So all we need to do is just average it by k, right? So we will do float underscore k, right? The reason why we do float is because you see in this output in particular, they want us to have decimals. So we do that float to keep that decimal value. And looking back at everything, we look pretty good. Let's give this a run. Perfect. You see, so it worked. So I'm going to show you guys how visually this is going to look with this demonstration right here. So these are the same exact numbers we were working with, right? So you have 1, 12, -5, -6, 50, and 3, right? And you have k equals 4, right? And you have the length equals 6. So for x in range, length of nums minus k, so 6 minus 4 equals 2, right? So starting from here, we're going to go two spots, right, in the range. So that would be 1, 2, right? So we have our total sum, right? Our total sum is basically starting at 0 to k, which is where we're at right now. So that is 1, 12, -5, and -6, right? So we have our sum by adding these numbers up together, okay? And that's going to set equal to max sum. Now going into the loop, right, what we're doing is starting at x, we are subtracting the value, the first value we're on, right, and adding plus k. So we are subtracting this number, right, subtracting, and we are adding this number, which is 50, right? So this is basically kind of moving it over here, right? So now as we've done that, right, we go and check again, and we do the loop one more time, right? Now we're here. So now as we're on this point, we're doing the same thing, right? So we're subtracting the first number we're on, which is 12, right? We're subtracting this, and then we're adding this number, the number after the one we're on right now, right? Which is 3. And we continuously checking if the number, all these numbers added up are greater than the maximum we currently have, right? And if it is, then we just fix the value so we keep it updated. And at this point, we've already checked all the numbers, right? And we've done minus k. The reason why is because there's nowhere else to go, right? We already checked all the numbers, and all we have to do is return the max sum, which you already have. And because of that, we're able to find the max number of all the numbers added together, and then we divide it by k, because that's what it's asking for, the average, and we use float. So we can get these decimals, which is the 0.750 in this example. If we didn't use the float, then we would just get the whole number without any decimals, that is not what the question wants.